we had this we're in a hostile gang environment. So when you're talking about people circling, one time they'll circle like a neighborhood block, and then just to see, scope it out, and then the second time they come around, it's a drive-by shooting. On this particular day that I got in trouble, I was supposed to be at a homecoming, North High's homecoming, and I didn't go. I ended up staying on the block. Long story short, unmarked police car ended up getting shot at. Green Honda with a sunroof came by, and they drove around one time and it came back again, and the car was immediately fired upon. So that was our reality. And I was charged with attempted murder on two police officers. I was charged with unlawful discharge of a firearm at a dwelling, the use of a weapon, committed felony twice.
I remember when my wife and I first met Brian in DCYC Unit Number 6. Brian was just a scared, lonely, frightened young man.
First visit to DCYC, November of 1994. I walked in, and the first thing I see is four young men handcuffed and shackled, waiting to go to court for further adjudication of their cases. And I'm thinking, if only they knew how much God loved them. If only they knew what Christ has done for them, they could put all this behind them. And it was at that point that I just felt we got to do this. This is a call right here.
My name is Brian Riley. I found Release Ministries. Well, Release Ministries found me in the youth center at DCYC, those kind of youth centers.
My name is Raj and I go by Simon, and I was 17 years old when I was the first kid at the Release Ministries group home.
My name's Jake and White, and 30 years ago, I was one of the first mentees for Release.
Before I came to Release Ministries, I was very troubled. Constantly just gravitated towards the wrong crowd, drugs, alcohol.
I was very stubborn. I was a very, very troubled teen and got into a lot of trouble, running away, stealing.
Well, actually, I spent over a year and a half locked up.
Very violent. I was wild. I was just outrageous. I was uncontrollable. I don't know how else to say it. I was pretty obnoxious.
I was like really defiant and really mean and just didn't care, hated authority.
And this all stems from coming from a background of broken relationships. So they have a certain ability to trust. They expect to be hurt in relationships. They have a sense of powerlessness. They don't have a vision for the future.
So many of these young people have had relationships that have been broken, promises that have not been fulfilled. And so Release Ministries can expect many times that they're going to be tested by these young people right out of the gate.
They don't have a person or a group of people in their lives that are there to affirm them, and to kind of cheer them on, and tell them that they're proud of them, So they come out of that with a real sense of loss. They have learned irresponsibility instead of learning to be responsible. And again, that's because they don't have the relationships of an adult that's there to hold them accountable lovingly. They're hungry for love. They're hungry for love.
It's pretty foundational to our approach with kids that we believe that for them to hear what adults are telling them, they need to know that they're going to be protected.
We are just beginning to understand how much damage it can do when the people who are supposed to keep a kid safe actually do them harm.
When kids are traumatized, when kids have problems, when kids don't feel safe, they can't change.
They aren't able to make cognitive lasting changes. They're in fight or flight mode. Their brain is not able to process any kind of new incoming information, and they just are trying to get out. So if we want to make any kind of lasting change, it's really important that we establish that sense of safety pretty quickly with our kids.
There was no telling what I'd do. You know, I had some really angry feelings in my heart. And I was just at a really bad place.
I was screaming for help, but no one believed me that I was going through.
Nobody believed in us.
No, nobody wanted us to be together. Nobody.
I was lost. I was a lost kid. Not necessarily because of my behavior, but just because of family issues and things that end up escalating and ended up affecting the children around the household. So I grew up in the system and placement to placement, and naturally that ended up affecting my behavior.
Me as a 14-year-old, Aria dropped out of school. Mom was kind of a druggie. Not kind of, to the day she died, she was a prescription abuser.
So going through the CPS case, they decided that I needed some type of parenting classes. So I got an IFP worker. We met initially, and my initial reaction was, this guy can't teach me anything. Like, I know what I'm doing with my kids.
We're fighting all the time.
Yeah, like really bad fighting.
We couldn't agree on anything. We were
Really far apart that
yeah. So we were, about to get a divorce.
I got a bad relationship when I was 17 years old, thinking that I had the right man in my life. He had good feelings back then, but it was fake.
I was with their dad for 17 years. Very, very abusive relationship. My daughter, she started becoming like suicidal. I kind of thought it was over, like all the abuse. I had to admit her into Emmanuel Hospital. And then it came out that her dad had actually sexually abused both of my girls. So he is in prison. I put him in prison. So just trying to get through my own grieving process and trying to take care of everything. And I turned to drugs.
Lost our house. We had lost our vehicles. I was living at a homeless shelter with the boys.
And trust me, I felt like I was not going to survive.
I got put in jail, and during that time they removed my kids from my care. When I got out, I wasn't allowed to have contact with my kids, which was devastating.
Well, I was definitely being judged by the state on whatever accusations were made. So I automatically felt defensive because, when someone's threatening to remove your kids from your home, you get defensive, you get scared, there's a lot of different emotions. So meeting with Release Ministries, it wasn't something I wanted to do.
I didn't really know much of nothing until Ashley came along and kind of walked me through and told me that she was going to get me started on visits, which was amazing because I was going crazy.
Even after I met Al, I was still doing shady things. I was still pulling up to his house to go have dinner in a random car that wasn't mine.
I was just at a really bad place, and just the love and the support I just kept getting there. I mean, I just knew I wasn't in it alone, but like I said, I was in a safe place.
I think safety is the first thing is just really being able to listen and to suspend judgment.
When I hear safe, I think of support.
Being not in harm.
Without insecurity.
Knowing that the things I need are available to me.
Feeling a piece of reassurance.
Protection, security.
Safe person, somebody who's not always having to be on guard, right? And looking behind them for fear that something's coming that they're not prepared for, and they feel secure.
I tell them, I verbally express it. There's nothing you could do to make me stop loving you. Nothing.
Here's how we intentionally create safe is we don't give up on people when they mess up.